Test, test. 1, 2. Yep. Good.
I've got one here myself. It's a hard card, a neat little drive on a card that I'd love to keep using, but have a listen to it spinning down. I've got one here myself. It's a hard card, a neat little drive on a card that I'd love to keep using, but have a listen to it spinning down.
A little bit of that. Here.
So yeah, you need a way to replace those old hard drives, back up the data onto a modern PC, and get software out of these machines that doesn't require buying floppy disks like it's really 1981. I went ahead and ordered not just this kit, but also an IDE to CF adapter that has an external facing port for convenience, and a small CF card. I figured that a sub 1 gigabyte card would have better luck running on this thing than something bigger. The hard drive it's replacing is only 20 megabytes, so 256 megabytes is a more than 10-fold upgrade, and more than anyone would ever really need on an original IBM PC. I can always buy more cards if I need them. You can buy completed XT-IDE cards, but the kit version is a lot cheaper and only requires basic soldering skills. No instructions are included, but the board is nicely labeled and it comes with everything you need. It is true that you can mess things up without even knowing what you did wrong, and check your soldering seems to be the default response to most tech support questions in the XT-IDE forum. So if you're not comfortable with soldering, just buy a completed board. But I thought it looked simple enough even for my hobby level skills, and it's my idea of some cheap fun. I chose to begin with the small stuff and work my way up. So first go in the tiny decoupling capacitors and resistors. I bend the legs a bit on the backside to hold them in place while I solder. I tin the tip, and I'm purposely showing you that this time to head off comments about it. You should always tin the tip, people, early and often.
Hey, 50 Shades of Beige. Hopefully you can hear me. Yep, I'm assembling one of these XT to IDE kits, or at least attempting to. Oh, good, thank you. Right now I'm just kind of, I looked up the video that's from the Glitchworks site, but the guy that I was watching, he just kind of skipped a bunch of steps. So I bounced over to the -0degrees.net site where they had a picture of a fully assembled, so I'm just kind of going off the pictures. So that's where we're at right now. I don't think this should be too difficult. These little yellow things here that I assume are a capacitor, I think, don't seem to have like a polarity or direction, so I think they can just go in these either way. And at least the board's labeled nicely. Yeah, first kit of this that I'm putting together. I originally picked this up because I had that IBM 5160, and the plan was to put this together and use it for that computer, but I never got it quite up and running. And then just recently at the last swap meet, I moved it on to someone else. But I have a 286 that does not have an IDE controller, I'm pretty certain, so I'm thinking I might be able to use this in that computer once I get it together. And at least the 286 does work. Well, when it comes to the 5160s, I think, or even the 5150, I would say that those are pretty temperamental machines. So I guess it shouldn't be a huge surprise that I didn't have a whole lot of luck with it. Okay, now these I do have to get in the right order. Yeah, tell me about it. I had it working, and then I moved in the last year, and after moving, the first time I went to crank it up, it booted up for a moment, and then the power supply just decided to give up the ghost completely. So let's see here. Yep, lilac. Just the same. Let's see. I don't know if I can get this in at a better. This is so weird how this works. There. Maybe you can see what I'm working on a little better. Oh, where'd that other one go? But yeah, I'm off this week, so I figured I would play with this kit a little bit. Gives me a little soldering project to do, and at the same time, some extra time to play around with the streaming setup. So let's see, that looks good. Now, according to the one guy, he said it was best to start with all the things that are kind of mounted close to the board, so that's what I'm following along with. All right, that should go this way. I'm originally from North Carolina. I'm a now a transplant up to New Jersey. Came up here some years ago for work and never left. Let's see, where does this one go? Oh, I see. This is all labeled pretty nicely. It's actually kind of funny. I've been up here long enough that when I go back home, I get comments from family that I have a different accent, or my accent has kind of gone away. I don't blame you. Thankfully, I'm not, I'm sort of midway in New Jersey. I don't think I could do the North Jersey or something. It's just way too crowded. Let's see. I'm sure DC, certain areas of that are just as bad. Let's see here. Okay. I think we'll start with a little bit of soldering here, and then we'll come back to these other parts. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Alright, where's my power for that? There we go. Well, thanks. I mean, I have soldered a number of things before, not like a ton, but I mean, I've done enough that I'm not like completely fresh to it. So, I mean, I've done things as complex, at least in my opinion. I've done a few recap jobs with like the Game Gear systems, and I would say that those are pretty challenging because it's all surface mount capacitors, but there's still the kind with legs and barrels. So, oh, hey Josh, welcome to the stream. We're just putting together, or trying to put together one of these IDE to XT, or XT to IDE kits. So, let's see here, got that. I don't think I need that. So, for Josh that's just joining, I've got some of the surface mount caps and resistors. Let's see, you can kind of see. We've got some of the surface mount caps and resistors in place. I'm kind of going by an online guide on from the site that these come from that suggests starting with the things that are closest to the board first. Let's see here. Let's turn this down just a bit. I'm adjusting temperature on my soldering iron. Yeah, it should be good enough. Yeah, well, yeah, it's through-hole stuff, but I mean the bits that sit closest to the board, and then I guess there will be the sockets that will come next, and they're going to sit up a little bit higher than these. All right, thanks 50 Shades. I appreciate you stopping by for a moment. Yeah, I'm hoping I might still be able to put this thing to use. You can't really see. It's so weird, this camera is quite what it's the opposite of what I think puts something in the frame. There we go. Try that. Oh, I need to get my, hold on just a second. Bear with me for just a moment. Let's see. Hopefully I can do this so that it's not too noisy. Got a little bit of a whistle there. Alright, hopefully it's not too bad. Oh. Oh, I think a pad just lifted there. To check on that. I apologize if I'm a little bit quiet. I'm not quite the world's best at carrying on conversations with myself, but you know, a good time to practice, I suppose. Well, I'm sure it's definitely one of those things that you have to practice unless you just happen to naturally tend towards maybe being a little more extroverted, I would say. Not that I'm too surprised by it, because I've always thought that it would probably be this way for the other poor folks that try to do jobs like this and stream it at the same time. But it definitely adds a little bit of extra challenge trying to both get what you're working on in frame and still leave room for your hands to actually get in there and do the work. But since I'm just kind of testing today, this may not be the best, but I can go back later and sort of review and see what I like and dislike. Main thing is I am not a fan of the solder fumes. So again, hopefully the noise from the fan isn't too loud, but I really hate breathing these in. So right now I'm just trying to get a little bit of solder in place, and then I'll go back and tidy it up. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, after I moved, it was one of the first things I really wanted for my workbench, besides getting one of the Moo guns. I finally broke down and got one of those as well. And those two things are definitely a game changer when it comes to soldering and desoldering, for sure. But yeah, I've tried things like having a fan or just something to sort of blow the fumes, and it seemed like no matter what ventilation or fans or something, the fumes always, for whatever reason, seem to come right at you when you're doing this. Probably the next thing I need to invest in is some of those jewelers magnifiers to put on. My eyes are definitely not getting any younger. I think I've seen you use a set similar to what I'm talking about, Josh. I can't remember for sure, but I believe you have a set. Yeah. Okay. Tell you one thing, this is going to be a lot of soldering. Well, I have like a Razer webcam that I really like, and just so happened then I found another. And what's nice is these even have a light. I mean, I don't know that it's helping a ton, but there's even like a light on it. But they seem to work really well. Have I mean, you know, it's not going to match up to like one of these, you know, 4K digital cameras that some folks tend to use with the or whatever. But I mean, I think this is a at least 720 or 1080 capture rate. I can't remember which, and it's just super clear for what it is. But it makes it pretty easy to set up and kind of have the dual camera. Alright, well, I think this is pretty good. Alright, time to inspect. Oh, good. Well, that's kind of what I was going for. Oh, missed some. Right there in front of me. Okay. Alright. So let's get out of my way. There we go. I actually have one of those, an Android phone that I picked up for $3. That's actually not that old. Maybe like I think like a 2015 or 2017 model. And I was thinking about looking into that Droid Cam to see if it's still, you know, if that phone still has like a version of Android that'll support it, because you know, you've used it on some of your streams, and I think someone else I watch also makes use of it potentially. So yeah, I might try to have that as an option as well. This does not seem like it. Yeah, it's there. Okay. Yeah, if I were to ever, I guess, get more serious about streaming, maybe I would look into some higher end things. Ooh, I made a mess there. Let's see. Can almost see it, maybe. Focus. Yeah, maybe not that close, but yeah, I kept noticing. I thought something was going through, but this slipped through. So let me see if I can fix that. Ooh, hot, 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 hot. Ooh, that gets very warm very quickly. Let's see. I thought there was a little bit too much. Yeah, it's good enough. Doesn't have to be flat on the board. That'll be fine. Okay. Alrighty. Let's see. Some of these go... this probably, in hindsight, I thought this would have sockets for everything, but looks like it's just for this one main chip. Oh, yeah, this there for this one main chip, which is a little bit of a nudge here. Let's see. I might have something that I can. Is this the right number of pins? Oh, it is. Oh, I might have some sockets that I can socket at least some of this. Nope. Well, I could clip that, I guess, but let's see. How about this one? How many pins? One set too many. Oh, I think that might be the right size. So what I'm going through here. Oh, let me move this back for a second. So I've got this little kit here that I picked up at a Goodwill of all places. Looks like somebody was doing audio equipment or something, and it is full of little sockets of various shapes and sizes. So kind of just picking through this, see if it's got anything that will fit on this board. Huh, razor, huh? Well, this one is, let's see. I mean, I assume they still make this. This is, both of these are this Razor Keo brand. Yeah, it says it does 1080p, so where is the model? I guess that is the model, just Razor Keo. Yeah, it's probably on it somewhere, but anyway, that's what I'm using. So, all right, let's see here. Yeah, it fell right in. What's kind of nice about this too is I believe these are the instead of being like the single wipe, they're just like a all the way around. So I assume these are halfway decent for this purpose. And let's see, am I still not totally in frame, am I? Here, I'll do that. I'm just making sure to line up the notch the same way. You know what though, first, before I set these, let me get a picture of the labels, because these are going to cover those when I go back. There we go. Got that. Yeah, because each one of these are different. So the idea will be to socket as many of these as I can. Now the option ROM. Yeah, maybe a little bit overkill, I guess, but it's, I mean, it's what I have on hand, so. Let's see. Just amazed that most of these seem to be standard size or something that I already have. Oh, that's upside down. Let's put it the right way. There we go. Right now I'm just seeing how, if I've got something for each. Option. Oh, I see. This is where the, gotcha. This is where the switches go. That's why there's not a, all right. I got it. I got it. I was wondering why there wasn't a notch for two of these, but now I see. And, oh, that one's a little short. This one longer. Nope. All the same size. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that is a good point. It should just be in there forever, I guess. Oh, this one was a short one. Oh, that one's short. Well, I can certainly socket everything. I've got sockets for each one of these. Can leave the I just know if I don't do it, my luck will be some odd chip will be a problem. And then it'll be a little bit more of a pain in the ass if I have to go back and remove that, but yeah, this is going to be fun. Need to just start one at a time here. Let's see. Let me go ahead and clip these other leads. Oh yeah, for when you're putting in. I think I've seen people use that. I believe I know what you're talking about. Just to kind of putty these socket connectors in place long enough for you to start the soldering. I believe that's what you're talking about. Oh, get off of there. So this is certainly not my finest work, but I think it'll do. There. Okay. Let's just get these out of here. All right. Yep. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate you stopping in. Let's just get that there. Sure that is good and solid. And let's do. Okay, this may make my life harder. Let's see. There we go. This going again. Oh, sorry. This is in the way. Let's do that. Helps a little, huh? Okay, is this... Yep, good and flush. Let's just do that. Yeah, I think this is going to work. At least Josh was commenting that the double camera angle makes it a little easier to see what's going on. Okay. And down, 5 million more to go. All right, good luck. solder bridge there. Fix that in a moment. There we go. Okay. Looks like that's pretty well in there. Let's see if I can. Not sure we can do it this way. trying my best here to get a nice, neat solder job on each of these pins. Easier said than done. Looks good. I think one thing I should try before going too much further with this is just seeing how easily or not chips will slide into these, because that may determine what I decide to do with the rest of these. Because it's also possible. Let's see here. Okay, so we need to do the little gentle, very gentle bend just to make this line up, because we do not want any bent pins on the chip. So we want these to slide right in. Okay, just a tiny bit more. All you do is lay this on a flat surface and just rock it, you know, just like a degree or two at a time. Don't go too crazy, because you still want it to have, you want it to just fit, but probably still have just enough tension as well to help hold it in place in the socket. Just a little bit more. And they make some nice little 3D printed things that will help you straighten or square up the pins a little bit better than this technique. But yep, that looks like that's going to slide right in. Excellent. Okay. Yep, I'd say that's in. I don't have it fully all the way down just yet, but yeah, I think that's going to work. What was going to the side here? '74 LS688. Assume one of these will be labeled that. Maybe. LS, I say 688. Well, I do not see a 74 LS688, so I'm assuming one of these is a replacement. And the labeling does not fully match up. Let's see. So there's the 504, LS245. How many things do I have here? 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so there are enough chips here, but well, sort of interesting. I'm guessing I have to look up and figure out what goes where. Let's see. 74 LS138. Okay. So we have that. That goes there. LS04. Yep. 32. 2 04s. Yep, so there's the other. This might be that. $74. I believe this is the other 245. Yep, 245 and then a 688. Yep. Okay, so that's the 688 and that's the 68. Okay, here we go. So here's the 688, one of them. I doubt this will ever be readable on the stream, but there is a 74 HCT 688E, but this should be the 688 that it's looking for. Interestingly, the picture that I've got from -0 degrees there has a different chip, but it is, I can see 688 in the center as well. So I'm guessing there's a lot of similar but different manufacturers, perhaps. Let's see. Yep, slides right in. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. This is the other. The other 688. Okay, so I think these are going to work. I don't think that that's going to be particularly that much higher that it's going to be a problem, especially once I push this one all the way down. I think this will be okay. there should be enough clearance, I would hope, in a computer that these won't be a problem. Worst case, if I run into that, I can desolder and just put them against the board. But I still think for right now, I'm going to go with doing the socketing because, again, it's just easier in the long run if for some reason one of these ends up, one of the chips ends up having a problem. We're still coming along. I was just testing that the chips will fit inside the sockets without any problem. Just because, I wasn't 100% sure that the holes in these were the same as the pins, but yeah, they seem to be perfect. So I think I'm going to continue forward with putting these sockets in. Hopefully you can still hear me okay. I know the microphone's a little hidden. We'll bring it out here. Okay, and this one. Yep. Great, thank you. There we go. Should be on there nice and tight. Let's just put this down like so. This way. Yeah. Like so. Let's just use it. once you kind of get into a groove of sorts of doing this, this can be very zen in its own way. Okay, that looks good. I'm just inspecting kind of as I go, re-looking over some of the previous ones, because it's just a good way to catch something that might have been missed. Say, looking at using different angles to look at it, you might notice either where you've missed soldering or potentially see a crack joint. Or just I guess if you're talking about brand new solder, maybe not so much crack, but just not a well formed joint. All right. Okay. I'd say that's good. Next. Guy right over there. So what I'm doing with the plier, or not the pliers, the clippers that are underneath, is just sort of using that as a base to sort of help me hold the socket pins in place so that I can put the first little bit of solder on them. So it's a little bit of a balancing act here, just to kind of get things in the right way. There's probably lots of different ways that you could go about doing this, to be honest, but this seems to be okay. And then, as I've seen from plenty of other folks, is as long as you can get some solder like on the first pin and like the last in the corner, it's pretty much going to be in there, and you just want to double check after you've done this to make sure that it's nice and level and in place on the board before you solder, the 16 or 20 some other pins, depending. So yep, that looks like what I want. So then you can just come back and go down the rows, and that's what I'm doing, just repeating for each one of these sockets. Take one pin, one joint. Ah, I see. Yeah, just kind of get it started and then push it in the rest of the way. I'm not sure I have quite the dexterity for that method, but I could see using it. Kind of almost wish I'd availed myself at VCF East, where I got this kit. They were selling them in the like the maker room there, and at the time during the event, you could just buy one and saddle right up to a table. They had soldering irons and the equipment to put these together right there on the spot. And I almost wish I would have availed myself of that, but I was a little too busy running around just taking pictures like crazy and video from that event. So, which is what I tend to do a lot of. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know your feelings on the matter of driving up here to this event, but I really do hope someday maybe you reconsider catching one of these, because I mean it's seems like it grows a little bit each year. I'm not sure what next year will be like, because obviously they had some big names show up all at once, and that really brought in the people. But I mean, it's so neat. It's such a wonderful event. So I do hope sometime, Josh, that you're able to come try it again. Man, The coolest thing I think was definitely seeing that Centurion computer that Usagi Electric brought up. I really wish I'd spent a little more time checking that out. He usually had a few people around him, and he's all too happy to talk about it. But that was pretty neat that someone would actually drag something that large up from as far away as he is, because I believe he's in Texas. So, I mean, that was definitely something to see. Okay, let's see here if I can get this balanced. There we go. That's good. Oh, if you haven't seen his series on that, I mean that is fascinating to watch. I mean, I would even hazard to say, even if you weren't really big into this retro computer community, I don't know, just kind of watching him bring that thing back to life is is just definitely fascinating. And it's one of those things where he is so passionate about it that it makes you feel passionate about it, if that makes sense. So it's like I'm never going to have something like that in my house because it is way too big, and I don't think there's many of them left anyway. But I can certainly enjoy and appreciate all the work that he put into it and the passion that he has for it. So. Yeah, mini computer. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, if you haven't watched that saga, I highly recommend go back and just start from the beginning and watch that. I don't think you'll be sorry. Yep, same here. I am. One thing I do hope shows up again at a future VCF, because I'd love to spend a little more time with it, was the Quantel paint box. I had a lot of fun. That was probably the first time that I've actually just, and I almost hate to say it because a lot of people put a lot of work and effort to do their setups, and often, I kind of go by, look at stuff, maybe, listen to someone go over some details, but I don't usually end up spending as much time as I'd like to with various things, or just really sitting down to enjoy. But the paint box was the first thing that I just kind of sat down for a bit, more or less just kind of tuned out the rest of the event and just enjoyed really tinkering with that thing. It was quite amazing. Okay, that looks good. We're getting there. Pardon me for just a moment. Phone call coming in. Oh, the usual family check-in, which is always nice. Okay. Okay, so this one I'm gonna have to fix. It's a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit off here. Have to be kind of quick about it because heat transfers to these pins very quickly. Okay. I think it's got it. Yeah. All right. Carry on. Over here. Kind of. There we go. Okay. Just a couple more to go. Now I guess I could go overkill and socket the switches, but I'm just gonna put those straight on the board because they're gonna stick up enough as they are, and I'm just going to, for better or worse, trust that they're going to be okay. Starting to reach a point where I can't really use my little trick anymore. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is for this one. So we're just going to have to do the best we can here. But I think I'll manage. Well, there we go. Looks good. Ooh, hot. Do not need to solder my fingers. Yeah, looks good. One more. So a lot of the trick here, at least in my opinion, is if you are trying to hold the piece in and start to solder, you know, hopefully you're working, if you're working on something small enough you can reach a hand under. You just want to keep your finger away from the pin on the other side. You want to keep your finger away from the pin on this side over here, because the heat transfers really quick through that and you will feel it. But if you just kind of get your piece of solder angled, you don't, you don't need force. The heat will do the work for you. So as soon as you touch it or touch heat to the two parts, it'll begin to melt and flow in, and as soon as you remove the heat, it's going to harden. So it's just more of just getting things at the right angle, so it's easy for you to just touch, as I'm doing right now. You know, I'm not having to force or anything. It's almost, you know, sort of natural, that it just wants to touch up against it, and then when I put the heat, it'll just start to melt without me having to do much motion. Ooh. And then, since my finger was right there where the pin was, it was starting to get hot. And once those are tacked in, the rest are pretty easy. Once you've got all those, you can always go back to the original, the pins that you started with, and tidy them up if it's not quite the way you want it. Okay. Alright, so this is where we're at now. Let's see. I think what I'm going to do next is put on these capacitor banks, simply because it'll make it, I think, a little easier for when I go over here to where these little blue switches will go, because one goes here, capacitor bank goes here, and it'll just be easier, I believe, right now. Now the question is there a... Yes, okay. So this has one little stripe, which maybe you can see? I don't know. Perhaps. There's one stripe on this end, and if you're looking at the board, you can kind of see here that there's a square hole versus all this, and it's got sort of like a box around it, so I'm pretty sure that those two things are supposed to line up that way. Unfortunately, the picture that I'm working with does not make that. I can't see from that angle, but I'm pretty certain that that's how it would work. So we're going to put it in this direction. Yeah, I mean, unless they have something... I mean, I'll probably try to go back at some point and just see if I can find anything to confirm that. Because I mean, I guess there's always a possibility that they had a problem in printing these boards, but I would hope by this revision there would not be any problems like that. And I mean, it just makes sense. Okay, easy peasy. Alright, and let's get the other. Same thing, we've got the line here on this one end, which again, I don't know if it's totally in focus. Let's see. To move, it's like working in a mirror, you have to move everything around, but anyway, I think you can almost see it. There is a line right there. And same thing, there's a little box here at the top. Like that. Back a little bit maybe. Man, it's hard to get that focused. There we go. But anyway, there is a box, a little white box around this. And again, a square through hole versus round. So I think they've done everything they can to sort of show you which way these should go. This one is a little trickier because I'm trying to get it straight there. Honestly, a helping hand might not be the worst thing, but I think I've got it. Okay. Okay. This looks good. Except this first one's a little cruddy. Fix that up. There we go, that looks a lot better. Alright, well, we're getting there. Alright, let's do... I guess we'll do some of these switches. These exactly the same. Yep, these are exactly the same. And from what I can see of the picture, the part, again, that you may or may not... will it focus? Can it focus this close? Maybe? No, this close. Anyway, on this side, there's a little dot with a arrow that points towards on, just to tell you which is on and off on the switch. And from what I can tell on the picture that I'm working with, that part is up towards the top. I think honestly it probably doesn't matter a whole lot, but if you don't put it the right way when you're going through trying to do your settings, these switches would then have to be backwards, because off would then be on. Or no, yeah, well, because if you had this upside down, these are also each individually numbered, so this now if upside down, this is 1 to 8, so you'd have to flip all of your instructions. So just better to get it in the right way. And yeah, so both of these appear to go this direction. All right. Thankfully, these both sit up so high, it's pretty easy to just flip it over and tack them in. Let's see. There. Okay. That. Okay. Alright, those should be in. Not too bad, not too bad. I think this one maybe is just slightly off kilter, but not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, next, let's see. I guess we will put in these little connector thingies. Now these have the little square pin, but I mean these are just connectors for the jumpers, and I mean there's no polarity, they're just straight pins, so I don't think it really matters on this. Just need to put them in and tack them down. Let's see. Maybe do this in a way that I don't have to burn myself. Yeah. Maybe. Let's bring this back over here. I don't think that's going to work. Hold this in place, but what I'm trying to avoid is I really don't want to burn my finger. Let's see here, maybe I can just give it a quick tack. Okay. There we go. That's pretty straight. Don't want to let a whole lot of heat go through on these kind of pins, because it will very quickly melt the plastic that it's sticking through, and then they just don't work right. So have to be careful about how long the heat's on it. Okay. Let's try again. The other thing you can try to do is get enough solder right on the tip that you can just get this tacked in without having to touch the pen. you can add a little more after the fact. Here. Just like so. Alright, well those are, well, they're kind of winging a little bit, but it'll be alright. They're close enough. So they're kind of a little bit at an angle each way, kind of see, but I mean, it's fine. As long as they're making the connection. Okay. Let's see, we got a twofer right here. Let's see if maybe we can get this in a little bit better. So, just going to try to tend the iron just a bit. I'm going to try to have as little of my skin making contact with the pins on the other side as possible. Like I said, it does get hot in a hurry. Just need to get enough on here to just tack it in place, and then I can add more without having to burn my finger. Go. Nice. Is it done now? It's getting there. We are a couple more connectors. We've got the big IDE connector. Still, there's one more. Oh yeah, there's a set of jumpers down here as well that I have to add, and there's still the one semi-large capacitor I need to put on. So we're getting there. Yes, I am using a temperature-controlled iron. I'm almost embarrassed to say what temperature because I'm not even sure what the correct temperature is. Right now it's set at 588, which seems to work. It's not maybe the greatest iron in the world, but it seems like it kind of works. Well, it was one I actually got from Radio Shack locally before the last one closed down. They had it on clearance. I mean, you know, it seems to do the job well enough. I have a chisel tip that I got for it as well that I use sometimes, but for this, the pointed tip seems to be the way to go. At 360. Yeah, I might be running a little hot, but I'll be honest, sometimes it seems like this one maybe doesn't really keep a good steady temperature, like it'll cool down real quick. Oh, no. This is at, oh yeah, 580. Yeah, actually it is in Fahrenheit. I'm sorry. Yeah. It should have Celsius as well, but a lot of times I run it at 680 Fahrenheit, I guess. I just thought maybe it'd be better to lower it just a bit for this purpose. But honestly, I'm not sure what the correct temperature is to run this at. Yeah, true. Yeah, and I guess that's where I get a little confused, because sometimes folks will talk about what they're running their irons at, and I'm never quite sure if they're talking about Celsius or Fahrenheit. Good old American units, as they call it. Yeah. I just try to get in and out, put as little heat, or not put heat any longer than necessary, and as long as it seems like it's doing what it's supposed to. That got off kilter on this side. That's going to be a pain. There we go. It's a little better. A little better. Yeah. This I might have to redo. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I've never been able to, in my head, adjust when you're talking about, weather or indoor temperature for that. Someone had said something interesting to me when how they think of Celsius when it comes to temperature, and they just think of it as a percentage from zero. So, like 25°C to them is like 25% from zero, or 25% of 100 degrees. Either way, and somehow that makes sense to them as far as like the comfort level, but. I think it's just one of those things that you just have to grow up with and get used to. Let's see. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. So according to the picture, the key is up at the top here. So that's how I'm putting it in. There's also, I doubt it's going to show up, but there's a triangle right here where my finger is. And there's a triangle on the board, which should be, I guess, like the pin 1 to help you know that you're lining it up the right way. So I'm going to have to go back and fix that one, but I'm going to have to heat up the Moo gun, which I might as well do. Let's see. Which one are you? Alright, while that's heating up, we'll continue on. Let's see, I'm trying to get this. Alright, that looks good. Oh, this is a little out of frame. There you go. Let's see here. Okay. Well, that wasn't too bad. Let's see what we got here. Hey, it's not bad at all. Alright, so I'm going to use the desoldering gun for a moment because I don't like this. This is not in focus totally, but you can almost see, I think, it's raised up, and so this is a little bit, and that bothers me. I want to just real quickly try to fix that. So just rather do it now than later. This other side might be tapped. Oh, stop that. Okay, yep, I'm gonna have to. Quite. Still tacked in. Well, this just goes to show you, it doesn't take much to really cement these things in. still tacked in somewhere. Of course, again, like before, I want to be careful not to send too much heat either. If I have to live with it, I'll just have to live with it. But I'd like to try to fix it if I can. Careful. Anything? Nope. Plated through hole internally. So once you've got a hole partially cleared, you can't pull a vacuum anymore. So you're going to need to. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Figure out find out if any of these are loose. This is where the patience part comes in with this sort of thing. Okay, let's try this again. Let's see. I don't have. Buddy, talk about something getting warm. She just does not want to let go. Let's see. Yeah, and that's the thing I'm trying not to do, is to, use too much heat at a time, because I don't want to lift any pads. Even on newer stuff, I'm sure there's definitely a limit. Come on. Anything? Let's see. Get it? Hey, there we go. Alright. Well, we found whatever it was. It was just enough that was holding it. It's loose now. Okay, let's try to get this on right this time. So where I messed up is when I tacked it, I just started going instead of double checking when I just had one piece tacked down, which is what I should have done, is flipped it over and immediately checked to make sure this was right. Let's try this real quick. Okay. Alright, so this time, I don't know if anyone else can see it, but this time it's on there flat. So this time we're good. Hello, TJ Wolf. Welcome to the stream. We are a good deal of the way into putting this XT to IDE device together. I was just fixing a set of pins that I had kind of gotten cockeyed when I was soldering it on. So now I'm in the process of resoldering. Just check that again. Yep, still flat. Okay. Okay. See, this is the sort of thing that I was talking about that can happen with too much heat. It may not be totally easy to see. You can kind of see it, but if you notice this one, let's see if I got something to point with. Yeah. So this pin right here, the corner is on, you can almost see, do you see how that one's just slightly higher than the others? What's happened is I've put a little bit too much heat to that and it started to slip on through the plastic. So what I'm seeing on this side, I mean, there's enough that's sort of making a connection, but instead of having one of those nice little tops that you get when you're soldering, it's kind of down in there. So it should still be making a connection. Now what I could probably do, I could probably put some heat from this end and try to force it back through a little bit, but that might make it get looser or might melt it in the plastic. So what I'm going to do is just double check that I've got continuity, and if I do, I think I'm just going to leave that. Well, yeah, I can try that, I guess, but really not wanting to heat and reheat this too much, because I do not, if I mess up this piece, I don't really, well, I guess I do have some of these. I could redo it if I have to. Oh, there we go. Popped right through. I don't know if you heard that on the audio there, but I was just heating it and I just heard pop, and it is now lined up. So thank you, Josh. Good 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 idea. So there you can see now they're all nice and even. So yay, saved the day. Thanks. But that's the thing you have to be careful with on. I mean, if you're soldering one of these, because these little plastic things, they will melt like nobody's business, because you are putting a lot of heat through that metal in a very short amount of time. So okay, let's see. Let's put in our thing. Of course, you've got. I mean, I don't know that this really needs to be a whole class on how to do capacitors, but you've got your negative stripe on one side, and the board has a white and a clear, but the main thing too is it's got a little plus symbol that maybe if I can do this right. This is like so inverted, it's crazy. Okay, but there's a little plus symbol, so you just want to make sure that your stripe usually goes towards the solid white on the through hole. There is such a thing as capacitors that don't have a polarity, but those seem to be sort of a rare instance. I think the C64 has like a couple, one or two that are non-polarity. Okay. There we go. Just double check my work. Yeah, that's nice and flat. Those over there. Trim that down some more. Okay. I believe that's all the soldering. Yep. So now it's just time to put the chips in. So let's turn that off. Turn that off. Turn that off. All right. Put that out of the way. What's your Moo gun set to, by the way? It is on, looks like setting 2, which is 400C or 750 Fahrenheit. So it looks like it has 1 through 4. 1 being like 660 Fahrenheit, 4 goes all the way up to 930. Yeah, it was just slightly over 2, but I'll be honest with you, that I believe was just what it was set at out of the box, so that's just what I've been using. I think I work around 2.5, which is 450. A bit hot but fast to flow. Yep. Well, I mean, the difference being too from like my old Radio Shack iron and this is the Hakko keeps like just absolute perfect temperature, it seems to. So I mean, it's it works really quick and well. It's definitely worth the money that they charge for it. Okay, let's see. Let's slide this chip back in. Yep, just making sure. Yep, clipping it down into place. Do that with these as well. Yep, that's in. All right, so let's just go down the line. So what I'm doing on the side is I've just got, I took a picture of the board. I mean, I could probably go off of the pictures as well, but I'm just going to trust that the board has the correct labeling. And then I'm just going to match up and put the chips in. So this is the 688. This is the 688. And of course, if anybody is for some reason watching this and using me as someone to go off of how to put something like this together, just keep in mind that there's a little notch, even on the printout, there's a, or printed on the circuit board itself, there's a notch, and then on the chip, there's also usually a notch on one end of it. Let's see, kind of in focus a little bit there, maybe. There's a notch right here, so you just want to make sure those notches line up. It is extremely, extremely important. Putting these in backwards could send voltages to places that voltages should not be and potentially ruin the chip. And even at best case, it's just not going to work because you're sending the wrong signals to the wrong inputs and outputs. So this is definitely something you don't want to force. They should, if you've got the angle of the legs correct, it should drop into place, and then you only need a little bit of force to fully seat it in the socket. Now, if I hadn't done the sockets, it'd still be the same idea. You'd want to just gently roll the pins on a flat surface just to get them to drop right in before you would solder, because if you force it, you run the risk of like one pin being off and then just bending outwards, and that can be a real hassle to try to fix, especially if a pin breaks off. Let's see, 74 LS245. Where's my 245? It's 578. Oh, it's these right here. Okay. So again, when I do this, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of opinions on how to do this, and I am by no means a veteran. But I just say get it on a good flat, clean surface. Just roll it, just a degree or so at a time. Just very gentle pressure. I mean, you can easily overdo it and bend these legs right off. Okay, so the notch is here. Okay. So what I do is I get it started, and I'm just making a quick visual inspection that the pins are all seated in the hole before I put the pressure to finally fully seat it. Yeah, this is looking good. Going in pretty easy. All right, what is my next one? Okay. These two over here are 573s. Find those. Yep, 573s right here. With needle nose pliers. Yeah, I could see that. Of course, now I think I saw on one of your streams somebody did send you one of those 3D printed devices that will just make them a nice 90-degree angle. if I were doing a lot of this, it'd probably be something that would be nice to have. I have a friend that has a 3D printer and is into doing that a lot. I could probably, if it's one of those things that's out there somewhere that I can, that the file exists, I could probably get him to print me up one. Yeah, maybe just a little more here. But yeah, this is just like a gentle rocking. It does not take as much as you would think to bend these pins. See, I just went from wasn't quite there to just drop right in place, and I can't stress that enough. It's just tiny amounts of rocking just to get them just so. Okay, this is the other 573. Yep. Retro rewind, yeah. All right. Just double checking. Okay. Yep, it looks to be seated. Yeah, gets in there. Okay. All right, next. LS245, which is this one. So once I get these all in and get the jumpers initially on, I'm probably going to have to do, that'll probably be it for today at the moment, because I'm going to then have to do some research on actually how to do the settings and if this will even work with the computer that I'm thinking of putting it in. I have a older 286 that does not have an IDE connector for a hard drive. I believe when I got it, there was, of course, dead, but it had the MFM drive, so I'm hoping that maybe this device will work in that. I'm not totally certain, but that's what I'll have to look up and make sure that I know what jumper settings and such to do on this. But I'm not quite prepared for that today. Today's mission was just to get this together because it's been sitting in a bag in pieces for far too long. Okay, so the first one is 504. First and second are 504s. So let's see. Or SO. Actually, I guess it's an SO4, not 504, but you get the idea. XT-IDE Universal BIOS stuff on it. Then run these tools to configure image and write that image to the EEPROM. Okay, wow. So sounds like I'm going to have my work cut out for me. The thing that I still lack is one of the EEPROM programmers. So that may be one of the holdups as well, till I either get one or find someone to send some EEPROMs. I probably have the EEPROMs because I got a whole bunch of the things, but we'll see. Like I said, I'm going to have to do a little studying on this first before that next step. The card can program the EEPROM. Oh, okay. See, that's why I need to do a little more research on what I actually have here, so that I can use it properly. Let's see, just a little more. There we go. Right into place. Where's the other SO4? There it is. Ping me on Discord if you need help. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll certainly do that once I get to that stage. Like I said, I definitely welcome any help on this sort of stuff, but I mean, I should at least try to do a little bit of diligence and at least look up a little bit more before I start asking questions. There we go. Right in. Okay, and just double check, but these should be the same in this. So S32s for the last two. Well, I'm going to have to assume that those are correct, because... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait, here we go. Yep, here's the 32. I found it. Okay. Yep. So here's the kind of thing you almost want to be a little careful of. I don't know how easy it's going to be to see, but you see how there's almost like a rounding here, and that's what can kind of happen, and this is where you can end up breaking a leg, because what will happen is, as it's already started to sort of round, when you put the force on it to push it down in there, what it's going to do instead is just buckle, and then you have a mess. So you want to try to straighten these back out. I mean, probably best thing would be a pair of needle nose pliers, but these are fairly pliable, so I can just kind of pinch them and get them back in the right order. But you just want to be careful of that. Because I could really feel it when I was rocking this. These are giving quite a bit. I don't know why these are particularly so pliable, just maybe less legs to give resistance, but that's why I said you only want to go a degree at a time. That's the best way I know to put it. Close. There we go. It's, again, when you have it right, it will drop. It will seat right in place, and then all you're doing is pushing it the rest of the way in. There we go. And this is our last one, which is a 38, which I believe is correct. Yep, 138. This is a 138. Yep. Okay. Almost. There we go. There. All seated, nice. Okay, and let's see. Just for now, we'll stick this here. And I'm just going to copy what's in the picture until later when I look up what settings I actually need. So, I mean, all in all, not too bad. Like I said, these kind of ended up winged a bit. They're kind of, you know, to one side or the other. But everything else is pretty well flat on the board and in good shape. So, I mean, again, you could go back and spend some more time on it, but I just don't. I think it'll be all right. Let's see. And these go under. Yeah. It looks like there's an extra jumper here. But I did not get one in the package, so I'm guessing that's sorta, because this says external LED, so I'm assuming that if you wanted to, you could set a jumper so you could hook up and be able to see like the hard drive activity light when it's reading. Let's see. Is that screwdriver? Yep. And just put this little piece on. Let's try that again. Okay. There's that. Oh, thank you, Josh. Yeah, I mean, I was in no hurry. It was a good, gave me a good little afternoon project to work on. So, good way to spend a little time off. But yeah, it's always important not to get in a hurry when it comes to this sort of stuff. If you have to, put it down, come back to it later, that sort of thing. But yeah, there we go. We got there. There we go. We got one fully assembled. So hopefully at a later time here, I'll maybe give it a test run. Who knows? Maybe I'll even stream it working in the intended computer that I'm thinking of putting it in. So we'll see how that goes. But I guess that's going to be it for today, and I thank you, Josh. Thanks so much for hanging out and for some of the advice and backup on this. So it's always appreciated. So I'll probably reach out to you a little bit later on. So, all right, yeah, thanks, man. So, guess that's it. Thanks all, and till next time.